As a researcher, can you tell us a bit more about your specialization?
Well, I've been trained as a lawyer. I started working as a human rights lawyer more than 15 years ago, and with land issues, with evictions related to land reform and the movements that struggle with land reform. But because I was spending so much time in rural areas, I witnessed the beginning of the GMO soy in Brazil, because it began not as a legal issue, but as smuggled through Argentina. And so it was a very complex issue that was changing the countryside, and I was many years engaged in this debate, also in this quest for certifying sustainable soy. We know that this cannot happen. So while campaigning on the soy issue, we saw another monoculture arriving in the same areas, which was the boom for agrofuels. So I started to work on the impacts of agrofuels and how this was displacing land, affecting food sovereignty, increasing the use of pesticides, increasing rural conflicts, bringing rural migrants, human rights violations. And then I also saw another monocultures arriving and growing in Brazil, which were the eucalyptus. So it's a cycle, one thing leads to another, but they are all connected. Working with eucalyptus tree plantations and the big boom of land grabbing and foreigners buying land in Brazil, considered the El Dorado of the pulp and paper sector, I understood the carbon crediting scheme for the plantation. And so I immediately started to work with the RED issue, which is a mechanism under climate policy, as biofuels are, to reduce emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. So with this, I got further into the debate about the financialization of nature and how out of the idea of trading carbon offsets, governments and corporations have come out with the idea that we can measure and trade biodiversity also. This led me to understand how those certificates and this new financial level of speculation was connected to the oil industry, because oil needs to compensate its emission, and they use carbon, but they also use biodiversity. So in a sense, it's a work that can apparently look disconnected and fragmented, but for me it's very organic. It has been the result of many years, more than 15 years throughout Latin America, and how also assures me that the only way to struggle is a systemic change, because you can be a campaigner in different debates or in different fronts, but if we don't get together and tackle this system, nothing will change.
Thank you very much.